Welcome to the Literacy Volunteer Valley Shore, Connecticut Comprehensive Adult Student Assessment System, otherwise known as CASAS, Video 2. In our first video, we did an overview of CASAS. In this video, we'll be talking about the CASAS assessment kit and conducting the CASAS assessment with your student. In the third video, we will review how to score the assessment and evaluate your students' skill levels. So first, regarding the CASAS assessment kit, you'll sign the kit out of the library. I will very shortly go through all the materials in the case and notebook: CD players, answer sheet, batteries, and booklets. You should always familiarize yourself with the Walkman or the CD player that you'll be using. Do a dry run at home, and once a student completes an assessment, you will submit the completed answer sheet to the office staff, which we'll review again at the end of this video. So let's take a look at a CASAS assessment kit. And again, hi, this is Susan Graves, and we will go get a kit. In the office, the kits are located at the back of the office. In these booklets. So if we bring a kit over here, and let's take a look. Every kit should have a notebook that includes all the materials you will need to give the assessment. But the first thing you should do is find the sign-out card. So you fill your name, the date, and put it into the card file near our library. We like to see that the CASAS kits are returned within a reasonable amount of time, unlike other books that you can take out as long as you need them. Also in the kits, and they all may be in different locations, you will find, which we'll review, the CD player and some headphones to be used. So let's go over the notebook. I'm going to be pulling pages out of the notebook and talking about what's in here. You'll not be able to read them, but want to give you a sense that when you pick up a kit, what you will find in the kit. First of all, on the blue page, we have a table of contents. In the kit, we have an overview of CASAS and what it means. On the green pages, we have a listing of the CASAS assessment and the different levels that we have for reading and listening. On the orange pages, which we will do in our third video, it talks about how to do the evaluation and assess your student skill levels. Each kit should have a folder with blank sheets that you can pull out and use with your student to record for them to record their answer as they do the reading and listening test. They should all be yellow. If you find that you only have one left that's white, would appreciate if you make a copy, as that will be the last one. Each kit should have a translation package. And this translation package is for the listening test because it's on a CD disc, and if your student asks, well, what was question 8 and what did I get wrong, rather than trying to find it on the disc, this translation package you can find question 8, read it, and talk about it with your student. There are answer sheets on the teal. So after they do their listening or reading exam assessment, these teal sheets will tell you what the correct answer is for each of the questions. Then there's a package with 2 sheets in it, one that will help you score based on their responses and how many they had right. It'll let you score their actual level of reading or listening, depending upon what you assessed, and what test you should be doing next. We'll be talking again about that in our 3rd video. And then there's a pink sheet that describes the reading or listening level that they are at. So that's all the background and materials you will need to conduct the assessment. The other half of the notebook has the actual assessment books and CDs. So the first section is for listening, and we'll review this a little bit later, but listening at the beginning level A does have a book that helps them to understand what's being said. We'll review that. The next section is for reading. And in the reading section, we have a book, and we'll go through the different levels for reading for each reading level to be used. And then many of the packages have the CDs at the back, but you may also find them in the actual kit separated from the notebook. So now that we've gone through the actual kit, I'd like to go through each of the assessments with you and review how they're to be conducted. So again, there are 2 types of assessments. One is reading, the other is listening. You do not need to give the assessments at the same time. You could decide in one of your lessons you do reading. You may have a gap, or in your next lesson do listening. So it's again your call, knowing your student and what you want to do and assess them. So let's talk about first the reading assessment. The assessment includes life skill and employment materials. So again, it should assess their knowledge or using information that is relevant to your students. The student may scan, interpret, or analyze forms, charts, signs, and articles. So part of the reading is not only just words, but it'll be information presented in those different formats. Students need to read question first, and an assessment has 25 to 35 questions. You should allow about 75 to 90 minutes. Again, it all depends upon the skill level of your student and which assessment you are giving. So there are 4 levels for a reading assessment. Level A you can think of as your very beginner, very little English, mostly can recognize pictures and words, up through level D, which will be your advanced student. For each level, there are 2 reading books so that you can give it twice if you need to at different periods of time if they still needed to be assessed at that level. So for example, 81R and 82R reading, that's what R stands for, are 2 books for the same assessment. In level A, they actually added a second sub-level that you can think of as being between A and B, and that's the RX. So there are 2 books, 81RX and 82RX. Then you go up to level B with 2 books, the 83 and 84R, etc. So again, Those pairs of books are the exact same level, but two different books so that you can, if you have to give them twice. All right, so let's take a look at a book. So we're going to look at reading form 81R level A. And this book, and as in every book, starts with a practice. You can spend some time with your student on the 2 practice questions to help them out to understand how to read through the booklet and answer questions. Now again, if you recall when we went through the kit, this would be the answer sheet that they would record their answers on. So now let's look at an actual question. This is again a beginning, very beginning level. So you can see on here, there's a picture. And they have to recognize the picture and find out of the answers, is it A, sweater, B, shirt, C, shoe, or D, skirt? And then they would circle the right answer, or the answer that they believe represents that picture on the answer sheet. So this is how the beginning booklet is organized. Some, for example, of the pages, give you another sample, is a picture of a clock. And they actually have to read the time and pick the right time. So that is the beginning level reading. Now I'm going to show you an advanced level that you can just sort of get a sense of, where there's a paragraph and more comprehensive questions with answers. So it really is going to assess more of a comprehension of reading. Okay. So that's the reading assessment. Let's move on to the listening assessment. The listening assessment makes use of things like simple statements, conversations, phone calls, radio broadcasts, phone message recordings. And the same 2 voices are heard throughout the recording. So there'll be 2 voices, some level of dialogue depending upon the level of your student that you're testing. And then they'll ask the question for the student to respond based on what they heard. Each test is about 30 minutes long. So the test, the recording will move along at a pace. You are welcome to stop if your student wants to stop and have a pause. You don't need to do it back to back. But if it went back to back, they're about 30 minutes long. So there are, just similar to the reading, each level, there's only 3 levels in listening, A, B, and C, but each level has 2 discs. So you've got alternatives if you have to retest at the same level. So 81L and 82L for listening is the same level A. Level A has a booklet for questions 1 to 10, but then it goes into only listening, but all questions are repeated. Level B has no booklets, it's only just listening, there's no visual clues, and questions 1 through 20 are repeated. And level C, no booklet, no questions repeated. So I will give you a quick look at a level A booklet for the first 20 questions. Again, there's only 2 of these in your kit because there's only the level A uses booklets, and there's two tests for it. But it starts with the practice question, and then it goes on to the questions. So if you look at the practice, there are 3 pictures. The recording will say, "It is raining." And then they need to then pick out "it is raining," whether that's picture A, picture B, or picture C. That's where the pictures correspond to the questions. I'm going to give you another example that rather than playing the tape, I will be the speaker. But a question a student might hear when it gets to just the oral part: what time will the man be home? And the woman might say, "What time will you be home?" And the man's response would be 5 o'clock. And then the question will be, what time will the man get home? A, 5 o'clock, B, 5:30, C, 6 o'clock. So that's the type of dialogue that would occur in the level A listening. It is very slow. They speak very deliberately. You might even think the tape has stopped at times. But it does give the time for your student to think and try to comprehend what is being said.